love that shot.
Bing buzz.
All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals and whatever might else be lurking out there in the darkness. I'm Bucky Wise, also known as Johnny Alpha, and you are watching a brand new episode of Pink Buzz. And Joe,
Yes.
Who do we have tonight, man? We are just so excited to have this man here tonight, and lay it down for the folks.
He's better known as Shlepzig in the comic circles, in the indie comic circles. This guy's got some mad skills, man. You pick up his books, like his pages pop. Yeah, anyone that wants to have some kind of dynamic, cool, different, edgy looking comics, man, that really gets you going, man, you got to check out his work. He's got Red out, and he also just finished up his Kickstarter of Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road? So, yeah, you guys should go find those, track those down, and get them. You will not regret it.
Well, actually, I have links to where you can buy Red and his new COVID era collection book in the description. So if you want to check out, buy his books right now. I got links right there in the description. And also, you can check out his Instagram, Shlepzig Comics. It's amazing. It is probably one of my favorite Instagrams because he never stops. He just has this artwork out every day, and it's so dynamic. And it's not just that. He also, I'm a up-and-coming artist myself. He also does breakdowns of scenes and shows you how to draw fight sequences and really neat teaching stuff that you don't really get even from pros Instagram accounts. So yeah, I would highly recommend definitely checking this man out on his socials. You're also big on Facebook, right, Shlepzig? Anything else you want to plug before we?
Yeah, I'm on like everywhere. But Facebook basically mirrors everything that goes on Instagram. There's a Patreon out there. Buy me a coffee once in a while. That would be awesome. And if I have 2 subscribers, I might put stuff up there more often. We got one.
We're gonna try to help you with that here.
I've got one subscriber who's like a buddy of mine from high school. Who's like, I just love your stuff. It's $5, so it's no big deal. And I got my collection out just now. I'm working on a couple like sketchbook collections from like the Instagram stuff. To put up there. Because you're right. I constantly draw. I post everything. And I do that, mostly just to like keep myself honest. Don't overthink it. Don't like worry about whether or not I think it's perfect. Which is advice I give to a lot of young artists, people developing. They're like, well, how do you know like when stuff is ready? It's like, well, if you look at yourself, it's never ready because we're a terrible judge of what we've done. And it dawned on me a few years ago is like, when I draw something new, I look at it, it's like, that ain't right. It's just not quite what I imagined. And I realized it's not what I imagined. So I'm comparing it to like this ideal kind of concept I had in my head. And that never like quite ends up being exactly what's on the page.
I hear you. Yeah. People are telling you that's awesome. And you're just like looking and you're like, is it? I could do it better though. I know that feeling.
I could do better. And it's like, people just don't know how good it could have been. So they think it's good despite that. And it's also been like I've come back to stuff that I drew like years ago and I don't remember drawing it, and like pick up something or I'll see something that that's out there. It's like, oh wow, this is awesome. It's like, oh, I did that. Cool. And because I'd forgotten what I thought it should be. And I'm finally able to look at it as what it is. Because when you're the creator, you can never really see it for what it is. And so, my prolificness is like, I'm going to put everything out there for other people. And then I can kind of figure out is like, is this kind of going the right track or is this going the wrong way or,
you'll see what people gravitate to. You know, you'll get a better idea of what's connecting with people that way.
Yeah.
One of my favorites that you did was your month of April on Instagram with all your different renditions of April O'Neil.
Oh, the 30 Days of April.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. As a Ninja Turtles fan, I ate that up.
Oh, that was a ton of fun. I actually did that in about 12 days. But what I'd done is I used like Hootsuite and like just kind of queued them up for the whole 30 days. And the most of those I did is just like straight jams, pen on paper. There's no layouts, there's no sketches, there's I just grabbed the pen and started jamming. And there are videos for a lot of those too on my Instagram. So I did like a time lapse, and the really nice ones I did like you got the paper version, and then it like flips over to like the digital finishes, and you can watch the whole process out there from start to finish. But it was just a jam. That was a benefit too. There was a fellow that had cancer or something, and the 30 Days of April was a thing. He publishes this book of like all the best like 30 Days of April each year, and it helps like kind of with his ongoing medical costs.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was really cool. He got like 4 or 5 of my drawings. I don't know how many of them ended up in the book, but
okay.
A lot of them are going to end up in my 2021 sketchbook.
Awesome. Cool. So you're going to have a collection of those little collections that you've been putting out with your shorts and stuff in it?
Well, yeah, collection number 1 is all the little things that I did in the last year, and some stuff like predating that, as I was like just kind of working on going from just drawing like cool stuff to drawing like narrative, really learning the narrative format. And I can switch over my camera here, and I mean, if you don't mind me rambling, there was a bunch of these things in here that, if you're familiar with the draw this in your style format on Instagram, like you gotta change that. This thing was a draw this in your style, and this was a draw this in your style. And I would do these things in just I want to, just learning how to do comic narrative. So I would, these things, there would be like a picture, and I would try and concoct a story around that picture and create like a sequential art piece around this. This is one of my favorites. That
is amazing.
Yeah. And it's banned on Webtoons. Just, one of my claims to fame, as we were talking about, I was on a panel last month. We were talking about, getting out there as an indie comics creator, and we were talking about Webtoons. And one of my beefs is that Webtoons has got this really like, nobody has it defined what their community standards are.
Okay.
And so this comic got banned on Webtoons for nudity. And I mean, yeah, it's a little cheesecakey. There's a little panty shot there. I mean, it is cheesecakey. I will admit that. There is some prurient interest there, but it got banned, and I went back and was like, well, I mean, it doesn't. You say there's nudity. There's no nudity in this, and they just kept saying no. Get rid of the nudity. And that was kind of the end of my career on Webtoons. I've got some stuff on there. I may come back. So yeah, in the collection, we've got banned on Webtoons up on my my thing. So if you go to Webtoons and you look for if you look anywhere on the web for Shlepzig, whatever you find is me. I'm the only Shlepzig out there.
Yeah.
Until this broadcast, and there will be like 100 people out there with Shlepzig names now, because I'm awesome.
Indeed.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So yeah, I've been using the handle Shlepzig for a long, long time. So if you Google it, you can find a ton of stuff, and it's probably all me. You know,
So
if you dig deep enough, you can find like really bad poetry I wrote in college like 30 years ago.
so how
Um,
did you come up with the Shlepzig? What's the story behind that?
it is there. It's a reference to Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon,
Okay.
which is a favorite book of mine. And there's one point where the main character has got a fake ID while he's crossing the border into World War II Germany. He's a spy operative for the for the American Army, and his fake ID is for Max Shlepzig, who
Okay.
was it was an actor, German actor at the time.
Okay.
You can actually look him up, but it's spelled SCH. But I started using this like back in the bad old days of the internet, like
Okay.
pre-browser,
Oh,
when we did everything by text on VT100 emulators,
okay.
and you could only have eight characters in your name.
Okay.
So, I figured like the C was the least important character in Shlepzig,
Okay. So
and the rest is
Gone.
history.
there you go, man. That's cool.
So yeah, I've been using Shlepzig for a long, long time. Probably 30 years or more. Because that was all like pre-web, the
So,
Stone
like,
Ages.
how old were you when you adopted that? Like what?
Oh, I was in my early 20s.
Early 20s. Okay.
Yeah, I was
And
probably.
I mean, when I look at your art, I definitely get a strong graffiti vibe from it. Did you get into that scene at all when you were younger, or
No, I
no?
was
Okay.
never a graffiti guy, but I mean, I
Okay.
love graffiti design. I've studied. I've looked at a lot of it. I've
Yeah.
studied it. I've copied from, stole from a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I find your art has a very good urban street flair to it a little bit too, like I was saying before, it's got a very gestural element, which gives it a lot of movement, a lot of energy, but I think it also has that kind of urban street flair to it as well. Like it's definitely, it's a style onto your own for sure, man. Like it's great.
I don't know. I wear my influences on my sleeve pretty strongly. I get compared. You can see like the influence from Bill Sienkiewicz in there, whom I love. I steal from Ashley Wood all the time. I've been really dissecting like Jim Mahfood a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's some definite moth food in there.
A lot of it is, I will, I'll see something that I really dig, and I will spend some time like kind of copying it, dissecting the style to try and figure out what makes it tick.
Okay.
What makes the things that I'm responding to like really work. And as I figure it out, it becomes part of like what I do. So my style, it moves around a lot like in the course of time. And but it's kind of landed on this thing. It's very impressionistic. It's got a lot of that Sienkiewicz impressionism in there, and especially like that Mahfoud like impressionism, the kind of wild thing. But its foundation is in a lot of like fundamental construction and drafting and all that. From spending like my youth like copying Barry Windsor Smith and John Byrne and Michael Golden and Mike Kaluta. Those guys. I mean, I cut my teeth on Michael Golden's Micronauts and Mike Kaluta's Shadow and things like that. That I traced those things until like those comics that just weren't even like recognizable anymore.
Yeah, I have some of those in my collection too.
Yeah, I like those Mike Kaluta Shadows are just beautiful, beautiful comics. And then later on, his Stardust, or not Star Wars. I've got it right behind me here somewhere. But his space opera thing that he did with Elaine Lee, It's on the tip of my brain, but I'm having like just an old brain moment. I can't remember it. And I don't think people want to see me like go search my bookshelf behind me until I find it.
I know how you feel. I get that too, or something's just there and it'll bug you
Um,
for the rest of the show until you find it. I know I have that same affliction, so
But
I know how you feel.
it's Star Something by Mike Kaluta, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And everyone should read it. It should be like just, required reading, and it's bizarreness. And it being just beautiful comics. So did you guys actually have any questions for me? Or did you just want me to ramble on for an hour?
Yeah, man. I went through your Shlepzig.com and I was like going through and I was reading some stuff. Like we said before, you have some really awesome articles in there where you have breakdowns on how to do things and stuff. And I read one part where you're talking about how you kind of got out of like you weren't drawing as much. And then recently, like just before the pandemic or right around the pandemic, you started getting back into it really, really heavy.
Oh,
I don't know. Did I misread that or
no? You didn't misread. I actually I spent about 30 years in a corporate box.
Okay.
I have a degree in mechanical engineering and had a long career doing engineering for a large international investment bank. That I probably shouldn't mention by name. But it's the kind of bank where evil people put their money.
Okay.
And I worked there. I worked for that bank like 20 years. I'd been in the engineering game for 10 years before that. And it was kind of like with with the craziness of the American political situation with the last administration, it was just, do I refresh the Wall Street Journal all day, or do I distract myself doing something else? So I started drawing, really in earnest, just to like kind of maintain my sanity.
There you go. Yeah.
In that like 2017 time. And then the bank let me go in 2020 or in 2019.
Okay.
And they gave me they gave me a really generous severance pay. And I just thought to myself, it's like, I can go back to doing this thing that I'm good at, I kind of enjoy, but I just can't stand the corporate bullshit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could do something I really love. And so I kind of jumped ship, set the engineering thing aside, and just did the two things that I love. And so I teach the sport of fencing.
There you go.
I'm a coach. I'm a competitor. I just competed in the National Cup Epee Championships in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I did pretty good. I came in 15th in my age group. I feel like, I could have done better, but I'm happy with my performance there.
That's awesome.
And I coach a lot. I primarily coach 8 to 10-year-olds. I have a high school team here in town that I do for the varsity program at the high school. And I coach at a couple fencing clubs as well.
Okay.
And, I'm very passionate about the sport. I love the sport. And it was a real lifesaver for me, after I recovered from cancer. So, it was, it's a very life affirming thing. And, I encourage everyone to give it a try, because nothing really relieves stress like being able to stab the bejesus out of teenagers.
That's good. I'll segue into that, because I was going to ask you, like, how did you get into fencing? Was it like you started in high school, or how did your passion for it blossom? Like, what was your first thing where you're like, this is it, I love this?
Well, I mean, started off, like many of us, I'm a nerd, and, we love swords.
Yes, we do.
We're kids. We read, we read Lord of the Rings. We play Dungeons and Dragons, and the sword and sorcery and fantasy thing is like not far from our minds. Yeah. So I had an opportunity. I'd done like the Society for Creative Anachronisms for a while. Modern and mundane, 30 years. I got out of that just because it's just a little too weird for me in the end. But in college, I took it as a PE course. It's like swords and fencing and all that. I took it as a PE course, and I really dug it.
Nice.
So then, after I left that college and went to a different college, I followed it up. I joined a club, started competing, and really loved this. This was like 18, 19, 20. Into my early 20s, and I was getting pretty good. Then I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, dropped it for several years, and then because the move and the new career and family and all that, I didn't really have time. Then I had lymphoma, and I came out of lymphoma and was like kind of trying to find something else to reclaim my person.
Change your mindset, get back into something that you can lose yourself in, really, and change your mindset
and feel powerful after such
it's kind of being reclaiming your body. I don't know. I mean, cancer survivors like all kind of get it, because it's like you've had this thing and it kind of just takes over your whole life, and you come out the other side and you're different. And fencing gave me an opportunity to kind of like reclaim agency over myself. And it clicked. I've been doing it ever since, almost 20 years at this point, unbroken from that, time I was in my 20s. So there was like a 5-6 year period I didn't fence, and then I brought it back, and there's that. So it's a great sport. Again, everyone should give it a try. If like in the course of the day you think, wow, I'd really like to stab that person in the face, but society is telling you stabbing people in the face is bad. Come to fencing, where we will encourage.
It's encouraged.
I would like you to stab me in the face right now. You're not stabbing me in the face hard enough. And it's like after night fencing, it's like everything, that all the bullshit of the day is gone. It's like it's just vapor. Nothing seems important anymore. It's like, that presentation will take care of itself. That meeting with the CEO, big fucking deal, right? Nothing is going to be like somebody trying to stab you with a sword. So man, everyone should give it a try.
That's awesome. So how did you get into coaching? How did that come about?
It just became like a offshoot of doing it for so long. I don't know. I kind of come by teaching naturally. It's something that I really enjoy doing. And so eventually I knew enough that people could, benefit from the stuff that I knew. So, after several years, I found a couple people that actually knew less than I did about something. And it just, especially like with the club I was at, there'd be like high school kids or whatever that are trying to, struggling with, some tactical problem or something. I, help them out. And so it just kind of grew out of that. Years go by, I learn more, and there's like a larger and larger number of people that I actually know more about this than they do. So
it just seems like natural to you. Like even when I went on your Shlepzig.com, like you have all these tutorials and stuff. So you just seem like the type of guy who just loves to share his knowledge with the world.
Yeah. I mean, why? I mean, I don't know. Why would I want to keep it secret?
No, that's great. I think that's awesome. It's an amazing quality to have as a person.
Especially because of the community you come out of, though. I mean, you want to talk a little bit about the cartoonist kayfabe group and the whole thing you were telling us about with the community you have going there with up and coming guys.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I love those guys. So, I mean, most people are familiar with, Jib Rugg, Ed Piskor, Tom Scaly, do Cartoonist Kayfabe on YouTube. Really great, podcast. There's Ed's Red Room.
Which you did an awesome piece for on your Instagram too. Your Red Room piece was amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool. I think I got a like from Ed, but I don't know if he included in anything. He says he's putting stuff like, you know, the fan art in like his magazines.
In the back, yeah. I'll check
figure,
really quick. I'll check really quick if you put yours in the back.
I figure eventually he probably would like give me a little shout out, like, you know, make sure he like spelled my name right or anything, because like Jim Rugg didn't spell my name right when he included me in the processing for Octobriana. Yeah, because I got a message from it. It's like, do you mind if I include this? And I'm like, oh no, not at all. But he spelled Shlepzig wrong in there. And but the they do that, and then around it, a Facebook group, Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats, sprung up, and I joined it. I guess like early on in the COVID era, because, you know, the only way we talk to other people is online at that point, right? You know, we're like stuck in our little boxes, which, you know, as sort of a recluse, I didn't find half bad. But the Facebook group is probably the best comics group I'm in online. I'm in a bunch of them on Facebook, and that is one of the best ones because the conversation is really good. The people that get all like twisted about, you know, one thing or another, you know, generally shut themselves down before too long because people just don't, you know, bother with them. And, you know, it's just people sharing their love of comics and, you know, videos, and it doesn't turn into a, hey, back my Kickstarter, like a lot of other ones, is that, you know, like the comic creators groups and things like that is just bombarded by people like that are like, you know, posting their Kickstarter every day for 40 days. And there's 100 of them. And that's all you see. But this is, you know, you'll see that there's, you know, good discussion. We'll talk about like comics that just came out, older comics. We'll talk about like whatever comic they just put on the video cast, you know, right or wrong. And then there's events. We have several events. We have like a monthly draw event, which is the first Saturday of every month, the Ringside Thology we do. That's hosted by one of the admins, Eli Schwab, who has a bunch of stuff. He's an amazing guy. But he hosts this Zoom thing where we just draw. You know, we have like a theme each month. And then, you know, we send it all off to him. He puts in a PDF that, you know, you can print yourself of everything that people do.
What were some of your favorite themes that you guys have done so far?
Let's see. I didn't think that I would like it, but last month's Liefeld name generator theme was a lot of fun. I really, yeah.
That's awesome.
It was, you know, the Rob Liefeld like character name generator made the rounds.
Okay.
And, like, using your like the first letter of your first name,
yeah,
and all that, like get these like hackneyed like Rob Liefeld, you know, character names because they're so samey, and they're so like, you know, just, you know, so very much like whatever a 13-year-old would think was just the coolest thing in the world, or somebody, you know, naming their child in Oregon. You know, and so it's like, yeah, all the characters are like Shadow Wolf and, you know, Night Fire, Strike, Elf, Blades, you know, I mean, just, you know, crazy stuff like that. So we did that, and I really enjoyed it. I came up with a really great piece out of that from what was it? Shadow Ice Strike was my character's name. I did that. We did one thing. We did a heavy metal movie theme that I had suggested. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds like a cool one. Guys must have pumped out some cool stuff from that.
There was some cool stuff. The idea was that, you know, you had to feature the Lochnar, and then you would base it on some song.
Okay.
And so people came up with like just some crazy stuff. There's some really talented guys in that group.
Yeah.
And but it's not like just pros. There are a lot of people that are learning as artists, and they're just working to improve. They're doing better and better. It's a great environment. Everyone is like really supportive. No one's like dumping on anyone else or anything like that. And we just have a good time. We draw, we make a giant comic, and it's out there. If you join the Cartoonist Kayfabe group, Eli's got all the Ringside-thologies like archived on there. You can see the stuff we did. So the heavy metal one was a lot of fun, and my first one, the Outlaw Comics one, I think was one of my favorites too. Where I kind of cemented my my overachiever status in there. Well, we did it, and like my first night there, I cranked out like a 6-page comic in the 3 hours that we were on. And
so you're just in the zone that night.
I've done it a couple times. My 6-pager for Cyber Ice Strike was also from that 3 hours, and that's actually a really polished piece that came out of that. I'm very happy with that. Also included in the collection, all the Ringside-thologies and shorts and stuff are in that collection, because that collection is just like every crazy little thing I did in the last year. That's not like part of a big story. Stuff that I did for anthologies and things like that. So there's that, but those are a lot of fun. We're going to be going tomorrow. Theme is album covers, and I've got something epic planned for this. This is number 12. So this is the 1-year anniversary of the Ringside-thology meet. So we're trying to pull out all the stops, and so got something epic planned.
Can you give us a hint of what band, or you don't want to?
I'm basing it off of Adamant's Kings of the Wild Frontier.
Oh, nice.
Hey, everyone's like, Adamant, what?
Oh no, I love old school punk rock, so yeah, no.
Yeah. I love Adamant, and it kind of, my wife and I were out to dinner last night, and I've been threatening to do, I started going to Comic Cons this last year. I hadn't been to a Comic Con since '86 prior to that.
Wow. Ninja Turtles was new then, man. That's awesome.
The second printing of Ninja Turtles 1 was just out. It was burning up the stands. And I went to a comic show, and they were completely different back then. It was not the kind of spectacle it is today, and that was like just before I kind of like went to school and started the whole like process of being a corporate drone for all those years. And since that time I'd been like kind of out of the loop. So that whole Image era, the Speculator era of comics, I missed entirely. So there's a big learning curve about all that stuff. It's really cool.
Oh, you get to watch it in real time this time. We got it going on right now again. It's going to happen. It's going to flatten out, and it's going to be really bad for those flippers on eBay and stuff. Or let's say the kids that are buying stuff off of them at least.
Yeah. I'm really excited about the whole indie world right now.
Oh, it's dude, amazing. It's so good. This is the best time I've been a huge comic book fan since around the time you went to that con when I was about 5 in '87. I got my first comics, and
I'm impossibly old.
You're probably just slightly older than the two of us. We're up there too. I got some gray around I got the Reed Richards going on my temples. So
nice.
I know how it feels.
Very distinguished.
Yeah,
but
chicks dig it.
I remember when I first got into indie books, man. I really liked like Evil Ernie and certain stuff when I was a teenager, and they were so hard to find in shops. Like it was such a pain. And but now, man, like there are so many indie companies, and they're all putting out just such amazing books. Plus, you got the Kickstarter guys like you and Jonathan and the other guys that I kind of talk to on Instagram and Twitter that, oh, dude, I can't believe just how amazing of a time it is to be a fan of the medium.
Jonathan Thompson, perhaps, or
yeah, Jonathan Thompson, yeah, the burn residue dude, game of doubles guy, yeah.
He and I just did a short together. So.
Oh, really? He didn't tell me about that. He keeps me in the dark until his book's just about to drop, though, and then he's like, "Hey, man, I need money for this, and can you promote it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I will, dude."
So I think he's including the short that I did as a electronic bonus for the Game of Doubles Kickstarter. And it's a 6-page short that's that we did together for Wizard Magazine, which is WIZERD. I mentioned Eli Schwab before. He's putting out like this kind of tribute to the old Wizard magazines.
Okay.
And it's just spelled a little differently. It's all indie guys. It's fan stuff, and I mean it's really incredible. Wizard #1 is still available on his website. Wizard #2 is coming out this summer. It's going to be massive. Last I heard, it's over 300 pages.
Whoa, that's a big book.
It's a big book, and I've seen a bunch of stuff going in there. I have 7 pages in it because I've got the 6-pager, and there's a pinup that somebody asked me to do at the last minute. But we did this thing together, and it was Jonathan and I have been wanting to work together for a long time. We've been talking about stuff, and we've got a few things kind of on the back burner, but they're just not quite cooked yet. And so we're chatting. The open call for Wizard came up, and we were talking about it, and he said, well, I've got this script that's been sitting around. Maybe we can do something with that. And so he sent it to me. It was a 12-page script. And I talked to Eli about it, and he said, well, I can't give you 12 pages, but, I can give you 6 if you can cook it down. So, Jonathan and I went back and forth. I said, let me just break it down and see what I can cook out of this to 6 pages, and we'll put it out. I sent back some thumbnails later on that day to him and Eli. They're like, cool. And we just ran with it. And so it was, excuse me. It just kind of turned into like this jam thing that came out. And then, I got a reminder. It's like, oh, we have to have your submissions by the end of the week. So it's like, oh, I better start that. So
well, that's all right. You're used to pumping out 6 pages on any given night. So
and that's basically what I did. 3 days, I did 6 pages, and then another 3 days to get it polished and ready for publication. While I was working on some other stuff, and it went out. It's there. It's ready to go. It's going to be in Wizard this summer. We're really happy with it. It's very, very cool. And I know he plugs it on Game of Doubles as a bonus.
Can you maybe after the show send me a link to where I could buy Wizard on Instagram? Do you think?
Yeah. I bet I can put it in the chat here if I can operate my mouse and.
All right,
cool. Talk at the same time.
There we go.
But yeah, that's stuff to get really excited about, because you're 2 really, really big talents I keep in my eye on. Jonathan, his Tales of the Dead Astronaut ashcan that I got, that I guess Source Point's going to be putting out the whole thing. Probably one of the funnest things I've read in a long time. Like, I'm really excited to just keep meeting you guys and just see the incredible talent. And the thing I like best about you guys is you're reasonable. You guys are kind of more talented than some of the other people on there, and you don't try to ever ask too much for your campaigns. I think for Red, I paid $8. It was $12 with shipping. I mean, that's incredible. It's an oversized risograph and. Just a beautiful book.
I'm doing stuff like through Amazon now, and I'm really digging Amazon print on demand. I did kind of the reissue of Red on Amazon. And it was partly because, like, friends of mine in Canada were like, well, how can I get it? It's like, well, I'm happy to sell it to you, but I'm gonna, have to charge you like $25 for a $5 or $7 comic.
Yeah.
Because, it's gonna be, $17 in shipping to get it into Canada.
Yeah, Canada, our shipping is horrible up here.
And
It's
like,
insane.
And I say, if you're gonna spend $30 on one of my comics, I want to get most of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Straight up, yeah.
I'd really like to be the guy getting the biggest share of that, because
not Canada Post.
yeah. So I looked into it, and with print on demand, it can be printed in Canada, and so he pays the same that we do here. So like,
nice.
You were saying that you had ordered the collection on Amazon, and like guys in Canada, people in Europe, I think Australia, Asia, they can all order. It's all the same price. It's very reasonable, and it really solves that international shipping problem that I had.
That is awesome, man. I didn't even know they did that. I didn't know Amazon did that, print on demand like that.
It's through the Kindle thing.
Yeah.
It was originally like Amazon print on demand. Now it's through Kindle direct publishing.
Okay.
And the tools have changed a little bit over the years. I'm probably going to stick with it, because it gets you on that Amazon, marketing juggernaut. Whether or not Amazon is evil or not. I don't want to, really dig into that. Personally, like, the printing costs are really reasonable. I've done stuff through Greco and the Risographic print and, other printers, and the printing cost for the book, like the printing cost for Red, is probably, I think it's less than I pay for it from Greco. And it's a nice book. And the collection I got, again, printing cost for the book was much less than I was going to pay through Greco. Especially with the perfect binding as opposed to the saddle stitch binding. Because it had gotten so long, I couldn't do saddle stitch anymore. And, because the new collection is 80 pages and I can only do like 70 saddle stitched.
Well, another good thing is the Amazon print seems to come out with some good colors. When you were showing your collection, man, it popped. It looked good. It looked
good. It's a nice print.
Really good. Yeah. For anybody that saw that earlier or wants to check out Red, which I highly recommend, it is one of two of my favorite things I've gotten out of 100 books that I've backed on Kickstarter. So go on Amazon, have it printed out for you. Is it normal comic book size, the Amazon version?
No, it's the same 8x10 version that went out.
So it's an oversized magazine edition. So the $7 is definitely worth it, and just have fun. I have never read a comic book about a cat that was where the cat was written so realistically before. When I got to the end of that book, I was just like, yeah, dude, one of my cats would do that to me without a doubt, dude.
It's kind of based on my cat Red, who's a jerk. And others, the other part is things that I've said about my ex-employer. Which when we're not on the air, I can tell you, but
yeah, we don't want you getting in trouble. Our buddy Goose, our other co-host that's not going to be joining us tonight. Yeah, he just got into trouble on Twitter, actually saying something about one of his bosses.
Well, his former boss now.
Yeah. So
yeah. I posted in the chat. I may be in private chat. I'm going to move this over to comments.
Cool.
Oh, I don't know if I may not be able to type in comments. All right. Well, they're in the private chat, so you can post them later on. But Cosmic Lion Productions is where you can buy Wizard.
Cool.
Then there's another really cool project that's coming out real soon. It's available for a pre-order, and that's a Weapon Ek. I don't know if you know about that.
No, I haven't seen you post anything about it. So
I posted a couple. I think I posted a poster of it.
I saw that. I didn't know what it was though.
So here, I'm putting this up here where Weapon X is. Weapon X is really cool. We all read Weapon X, right? Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah.
Just amazing opus. Wolverine, one of the best Wolverine stories ever. This was, just a love letter to that. It's like 55 artists. We all picked a few pages and just recreated them. So
that sounds awesome.
So you go through it, and it's like the entire Weapon X story, but it's different artists doing like every 2-3 page blocks.
Nice.
So I've got a 3-page block and then a 1-page narrative block in one of the covers, and I think I posted the cover.
That's what I saw.
Look at it.
Cover.
If you go to where they're selling it, I think my poster is one of the covers you're going to see when you look at it. And it was super fun. I love the work. I really enjoyed like dissecting Barry Windsor Smith's narratives, fixing some of the problems that I found. Not to like, say I'm flexing on Barry Windsor Smith. It's like, no, but, it was still fairly early on in his career. There's some places where there's just, text blocks in weird places that didn't make sense. And I moved some of them. And there's other places where I think he just got lost, like drawing something incredibly beautiful. And, it doesn't necessarily match exactly the pacing of what it is. But it's also mind-blowingly gorgeous. But it's an incredible production. There's some amazing people in it. I mean, just incredibly creative, really cool. I think it's also
when and where did you say this was coming out?
I posted in the private chat, so you can share that. If you want, like I said, I think because I'm not logged in as a user, I can't actually post comments.
It's the same place where you buy the Wizard?
No, it's through 100% Comics.
Okay.
I'm posting it right now, Joey.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
people need to get their hands on this. It sounds awesome.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like so much fun. I didn't know you could do things like that as
I don't think it's strictly legal.
Oh, okay.
I mean, same thing with Image Grand Design. Here, I'll try and find a.
Yeah, because that does sound like a pretty awesome project, man. Like recreating it, and each artist gets like 2-3 pages, and you just that you must get some really interesting turn pages in that, like from when you skip from one guy to the next, and it must have a really awesome vibe to it.
Too bad if they embraced it, it'd probably actually sell really well, man. I think Marvel or
it's
idiots
really
for
cool. I believe Rob Liefeld's gotten a copy of it, and I think it's awesome. Not that he has any say in it, but because he sold his rights to all those characters ages ago. And but he said this is just awesome. So we got the Uncle Rob seal of approval, I guess.
There you go.
And we didn't make any money off of it. I think for Weapon X, all the proceeds are going to another benefit, or it's going to 100% Comics also does a comics grant. And some of the proceeds may be going into the comics grant.
Oh, that's cool.
He gives out like a $5,000, $10,000 grant to an up and coming artist, similar to like Kevin Eastman's grants that he did in the past, and that program. So it all goes back into supporting the community. I mean, these people love comics and they love comic creators and they're trying to help everybody out. It's just so nice to be in a group of people of like-minded, nerds and geeks that like to draw cool pictures and do cool stuff.
Oh yeah, man! Just hearing about that project put a smile on my face.
Image Grand Design / Grand Disaster was the same thing. I mean, not strictly legal, but none of us made any money from it. We got to buy our copies at cost for printing and shipping, and that was basically it. And the money that was made is all going to a great charity for comic creators. So if Cosmic Lion does get slapped with a cease and desist order, they can cease and desist, and it's not like we can get sued for lost money or anything like that.
Well, if they were smart, they'd put it out, man. I don't know why Image didn't run it anyways, to tell you the truth. They usually do run anthology books with lesser known talents in them. At least they used to back before they became the new Vertigo, basically, or whatever you want to call them.
I don't think anyone could actually run the book because because Image allowed the creators to retain the rights to all their characters. And many of those characters, the creators have left Image, gone other places, come back, sold things.
Like Wildstorm's completely gone, and what was there is now DC. So I hear you.
To try and unravel all the rights negotiations of that would, be next to impossible, especially if anything ends up owned by Alan Moore or anything like that.
In the end, only the lawyers would make money on that. It couldn't be unraveled, so no one could actually make this. It's just a labor of love that we put this out, and it's gorgeous. Cartoonist Kayfabe did a page through of Grand Design, and they dug it. They thought that was awesome. Because they had kind of given us the marching orders on that. And there are a couple other things in the works that they had given marching orders on. There's a Darkest Image project that's out there that I'm going to be participating in. There's a 1963 project that is cooking. If you're familiar with the 1963 thing, and I don't think I can say anything more than that.
That's fine, but that's awesome.
But there's more cool fan stuff coming out of the Cartoonist Kayfabe group. There's several more cool fan projects coming out of that are just artists doing it for fun, and they just love it.
Well, Jim seems like he's in a good place with Image, so I think if there was a problem, that they had a problem with it, he'd have probably heard about it, right?
Yeah.
Jim Rugg?
Well, the 1963 thing is, is pretty legit. We got rights for some of the characters signed off. And the Rick Veitch characters, and which are co-owned by Alan Moore, are untouchable. So we're kind of working our way around that in various ways, and so I'm excited to see what comes out. I think my extra super secret project with that, really excited to see that. And I shall say no more.
You've already said too much.
I have said too much.
But I wasn't joking in my tweet on Twitter, man. We are uncovering the hidden gems of indie comics right now, man. Shlepzig is just giving us a treasure trove of amazingness that I didn't even know was out there. So
honestly, it's just a drop in the bucket, because the thing that blows me away about indie comics right now is there are so many people out there doing just amazing things. I look at the stuff that's out there. Oh, I got another story to tell you right after this, and it's just astounding. It's just astounding. There's so many incredible artists out there doing stuff, and there's so many of them that nobody ever hears about them. There are just so many voices that are coming out of the woodwork with the internet and everything, that I see stuff that, I see artists online. They've got like 100 followers on Instagram, and they're just amazing. They've got the total chops. They're like in Portugal or whatever, or like, Argentina. All these international talents are just astoundingly good. And, no one is seeing this. It's out there. It's amazing. There's a whole universe of stuff. And I mean, I've gotten hooked into a bunch of it, but I mean, honestly, it is a drop, smallest drop of the cool stuff that's out there. So here's the story is, about a year ago, I was approached by, these people posing as Numero magazine, which is it's a European fashion magazine that they're putting out like this big comic. And, I get called by one guy, says, "Oh, we really love your stuff. We've been seeing it on Instagram. We want to make this comic. We got contracts. We're going to pay you and all that." And then I was like, okay, I was really busy with, commissions and, a couple other projects going on. So it's like, okay, when I've got some time, I'll give that. I sent them some breakdowns and some layouts and some sketches. And, eventually I didn't send them enough stuff that they, kind of cut themselves loose from me. And I'm like, okay, didn't work out. No big deal. All right, here's an opportunity. I let it go. And, I didn't think about it. Then one of my friends on Instagram posted a thing about how he had gotten the same call. And it had turned out to be this scam. So if there were these guys roaming around, like getting, promising work to like these up and coming comic book artists to do this big comic. And it's the weirdest scam in the world. Because we can't figure out like what the end game is. So, some of these guys in our group, we've got a group on Instagram where we're all talking about it. And some of them have done like, 40, 50 pages of, finished pages. And there were like 5 volumes of scripts that got out that were supposedly by some big writer, but are almost certainly not by who they're representing, because people eventually reached out to Marvel. I don't remember the writers' names off the top of my head. I have to look all this stuff up because Google has ruined my memory. And I've had, and there's like 30, 40 of us that were all approached by these guys to do work, and some of them had done a lot of work and never got paid. They had signed contracts that turned out to be bogus.
I heard about this. Yeah,
with companies. And I mean, these guys are good. Some of them are established, not huge, but established artists. Some of them are big Instagram artists. Some of them are really small Instagram artists, but incredibly talented. That said, this is my big shot, and they just poured their heart and soul into doing it. And it was just kind of weird, because here's all this amazing work out there. Someone did a lot of work running this scam, and we can't kind of figure out like what the end game is on this scam, because they can't publish it.
No, but do you think they were hoping that like a lot of you guys would maybe hit it kind of with a big 2 project, and then try to sell the art as original art from so and so, and make like you said, that's a long like end game, like that you're gambling.
That's a long
time to put that much effort into a scam like that.
From what I understand, they weren't getting original art. They're all getting like, print ready PDFs, digital proofs and things. Because I mean that's pretty much all
it works. Yeah.
I mean, everything is all digital. The only time I send out original art is when someone like buys it.
It's a mean scam though, man. I mean, breaking in Europe, that's the dream right there. I mean, I know a lot of people think that the American comics company is what's good, but Europe is.
Unless they're trying to build a database of just like art, like clip art that they can sell to people, or
I don't know.
Like it's weird.
Like have a bootleg
Yeah.
PDF streaming site. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But like the thing is, it's like having a bunch of guys, like you said, that are kids, that are coming up on Instagram. It's like
they're not even like kids. There's some guys out there. I mean, like Nine Monkeys on Instagram was picked up on it. Brow Art was picked up on it. I'm Dave Law was in there. I've gotten to network with a lot of really great artists because of it.
And it's funny you mentioned Rob Liefeld before, because he posted on Twitter bashing these guys and saying, pay your people, if anyone gets contacted by these people, don't fall for it. Rob Liefeld actually made a tweet warning people about these guys. Yeah. That was a little over 6 months, almost a year ago, right?
It was about a year ago that there was
in the middle of the pandemic. They were going after people. Yeah.
Yeah, there was also like a Mexican GQ scam that was the same thing, probably the same people. And I mean, we all kind of started networking and finding each other, through Instagram. And once we became like a big enough group, we were able to like have a wide enough view that someone would say something about it. We'd say, hey, you got picked up by the same scam. We'd bring him into the group. Yeah. And then we just kind of keep looking for all this stuff. And, people are posting their art and all that. And it's astounding. It's just incredible stuff.
Would they be able to do what this commenter said? Would they be able to set up fake stores and sell the artist's comics in any capacity?
Not for very long. I mean, because the artist will eventually find out. And if they publish it under somebody else's name, again, if it made any money at all, it would eventually come out. Like who this is. So
but what if they just run it in Russia? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe they just are putting these books out in Russia where we'll never see them, and they don't have copyright, really?
I mean, sure, but how much money are you going to make that way?
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems like a lot of work for very little payoff. We can't quite figure out what the end game of the scam was, but it was a big scam, especially since now we're all like talking to each other. And we've got this big kind of network of people that are ready to see, like, if anything goes out. I'm hoping, what we can do collectively is, figure it out, and maybe, us as a publishing collective put it out ourselves. So
that would be cool.
That, we could get, credit for it and all that. I've got a group for us to network and try and figure it out. We're all really busy. These guys are good, so they're getting work. And I'm really busy. I've got a lot of stuff to do. So I haven't had a lot of time to go into editing mode to try and harass it all. And
maybe using all that material to set up an anthology to sell on Kickstarter, maybe? Yeah, so all you guys can still profit from it?
Yeah, the only rub is that nobody knows who actually wrote the script.
Oh, okay.
The script, they just sent us the script. It was supposedly written by somebody. It was supposedly written by this famous author who didn't actually write it. So we don't know who wrote the script. We don't know if it's like these guys wrote the script themselves and were just desperate to get like their own comic made. Let's see. Oh, the Avengers shirt. This is actually, I bought this at Five Below. It isn't my art. This is just, I don't know. It was at the top of my laundry this morning when I got dressed. But yeah, I bought this at Five Below. It's cool. I should probably like have better like marketing thought than be wearing like one of my Batman shirts or
a chicken egg shirt, man, for Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road? I love that drawing you did that. You do have one?
Yeah, there's a chicken egg shirt. It's up on my Etsy shop.
Oh.
It's a white shirt or white print on a black shirt. I got that. I just got like 3 new transfers that I need to put up on my shop that are really cool. It's the Oh, the Bad Bunny sticker. I turned that into a shirt. If you looked at the Bad Bunny sticker, I don't know. And then the Coffee Could Be Stronger shirt, and then a version for a black shirt of the Pinkie Pie Velvet Underground shirt. What costume should the poor girl wear to all tomorrow's parties? Who knew the Velvet Underground and My Little Pony would mesh so perfectly? But they did. It's really cool. And it's kind of weird. It's one of my 11-year-old daughter's favorite shirts, running around with psychotic Pinkie Pie and Velvet Underground lyrics on. But sure, why not? At least it's not like too it's not like the sexy nun with guns on her shirt that she's running around in, which is also on my Etsy shop. It's a fantastic shirt.
Is it the one where she's on the octopus tentacles and she's got the gun and the sword?
No, it's just the nun with the two like 6 guns smoking a cigarette, by the moon. It's really cool. It came out as a really cool sticker, and I said, hey, I should make this as a shirt, and so I made it as a shirt. And the model that I based it on was more than happy to let me use the image for a free shirt.
That's always nice.
It's because I reference a lot of photos on Instagram, and if I use somebody's photos as a reference, I tag them in it so they can say, like, don't use my images. I've only had one person ever say that, it was a photographer that wanted me to take it down. So, it's one image out of how many thousands I put up there. No big deal. And I've ended up like knowing a lot of these models that I draw because they like my drawings. And so, this one that I did I based the shirt on, just really dug it and doesn't mind me putting that drawing up on stuff. So, pretty cool with that. But the nun shirt and a couple others are going up on my Etsy shop soon. I'll probably have a couple more fencing shirts go up. Upcoming project is doing like a fencing sports manga that I've been kind of like training to do. For a long time, and excited to get around to it eventually.
I was going to ask if you had any plans to work that into any of your books. That's cool. You're going to kind of do like, what was the one about the kendo team with the girls kendo team? That was a really good little manga.
That was I've got a really soft spot for sports anime, sports manga. Started off like, I was reading a lot of Prince of Tennis to kind of learn pacing and all that. Right now I'm deeply studying Yuasa's ping pong to kind of channel the Masaki Yuasa as much as possible. I love his work. He's one of my favorite anime artist directors out there. He's just amazing. If you follow like anime or whatever, just track everything down by Yuasa and watch it. Same thing with like Satoshi Kon and all that. Just watch it. Don't try and make it. Just watch it. It's amazing. But again, I'm just babbling on and on and on about stuff.
But it's all very interesting and informative. I mean, you're like literally teaching us more about comic books and what you guys do than most people would think. I mean, like me and Joe are both guys that we're developing our own things all the time, and so these are really kind of cool little tricks and tips you're teaching. Like, I'm gonna have to join Facebook again. I got to get in on that group. So I would not know that there be a reason to join Facebook ever again. But you told me about that.
Escape, if nothing else, that is, if you love comics, that's a group to be on. And it's a great community. It's a great talk about comics. And like I said, every once in a while, someone like pipes in with crazy crazy whatever. And as soon as it's not about comics, people just stop listening.
Yeah.
They get weeded out very quickly then.
Yeah. So I hope the person that wanted to see my full shirt is happy about my explanation that it's not actually my shirt.
Oh, it's okay. I'll take the copyright strike if they give it to me, man. Like,
no, they just wanted to see the full design, and it's it's not my design, so I can't do it. It's cover of an old Avengers #4. It looks like, and I bought it Five Below, so
killer.
So let's see. They're looking for the Facebook group. It's called Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats.
There you go, Chad. Go ahead and settle on in there. He's a big fan of horror comics, Chad, so I'm pretty sure he might find some good stuff in there, especially with what Ed's been working on lately. Red Room put the shivers in anybody.
Yeah, let's see. I'll post a link in our private chat direct to the group.
Okay. I wanted to kind of steer towards the whole 24-hour comic thing and how you decided to kind of do your first print comic based on that challenge.
It's funny. I'd set it up with the idea of it being kind of a training exercise. I'd planned to like do some indie stuff through Kickstarter, and I thought, kind of what the hell, let me do this 24-hour comic thing, and I'll put something out and it should come out. I can put it up on Kickstarter. And the basic idea was to learn how Kickstarter worked, because I hadn't done it. I have a friend that I've done a couple comics with now, Chris Jerome, Discordia, which I should plug as well. That another friend had put me in touch with that just kind of gave me like the brief on like how Kickstarter works. So I thought, okay, I'll have this Kickstarter. It's a 24-hour comic, so it's not like I've put my life into this thing. And I'll put it up. If it doesn't get funded, I can do whatever I want with it, whatever. And we'll see how it goes. And much to my surprise, it was successful. It got funded. More than I had expected it to, which is what which took me from doing like the ashcan size to doing the 8x10 size. And for an engineer, I didn't think about the math, and I didn't realize that the aspect ratio would be completely different.
I read that in the end, how you had to reconfigure a lot of stuff.
And then it's like, oh, wait, just because it's twice the size of the sheet, it's not twice the size in the same direction. So the sheets all have to be relaid out entirely.
Hey.
And you'd think somebody who's taken as much math as I had would like know that right off the top of their head. It's like, oh yeah, that's a bad idea. But again, it was set up as just really a learning experience coming out of daring myself to do the 24-hour comic thing, which I've just been like kind of training up to do comics. And I said, this is something that will force me out of my comfort zone and make me really grow, in that, narrative, understanding narrative structure, which is way more complicated than you think it is. So, I dared myself to do it, kind of like, you dare yourself, I'm going to run a marathon, and, and then you run like that first 5K and it's like, oh, wow, everything hurts. Everything hurts so much. But you told everyone you're going to run a marathon. So now if you back out, they're just going to, make fun of you. So you stick with it, you keep training, and then you run that marathon. And so 24-hour comic day was that. And I actually did approach it like I would train for an athletic event.
Yeah, you did. Oh, yes, you did. Like
in the collection, you've got a bunch. You've got one story that I did. A bunch of the other like 1 hour pages I did were trash, so I didn't include them. But you've got this kind of turtle story I did, which was like these 1, 2, and 3 hour doing a page an hour sessions, scripting, drawing, writing, producing, and getting them done. And it was a process of getting it so I can put them out that quickly. And that the turtle story is in the collection. It's a stub of a story. It is a beginning. It's kind of fun. It's got the 4 turtles. They're named after the Marx Brothers this time. It's all the stuff that's in the collection is up on my Instagram somewhere. So you can see it all if you want. If you want to have a paper copy, you buy it on Amazon. Or you find me at a con. I got a bunch of physical copies. I'm going to be at Galaxy Con in North Carolina at the end of the month, end of July, which is going to be exciting.
About Red, though, the character dialogue and the back and forth, especially between Red and the nun, did you have those planned out in advance? Because the dialogue between them is just so natural and good. I mean, a lot of other horror comics that I've read that try to have that kind of humor between 2 characters, it doesn't land as solid as it seemed to in your really kind of marathon run, No, so I was wondering if you had those setups in your head. No,
I just kind of made it up as I went along. Some of it, like in that first 24-hour run, didn't make any sense at all because 2 a.m. dialogue is not necessarily the best dialogue you write. But the kernel was there, and so while I was in the process of re-editing it, saying, "Oh, people paid money for this. I should make it good." And not like stuff that they're going did a 3-year-old write this? What happened? Was he on crack? He was on crack when he wrote this. So during the edited processing, the kernel of what was going to be said was there. And maybe I was just in my car, driving to go coach or something. And it's there's the coolest thing he could say. And, it kind of
that's one of the
interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things I found about this 24 comic, because it's not like you locked yourself in your studio and just worked 24 hours. You still had to fit in your regular routine throughout the day as you're doing this.
Well,
so it's
in
kind of
this case, I did just lock myself in the room for
24 did you?
hours,
okay.
With a bag of Twizzlers and a bunch of Coke and and all that. It was afterwards I got it. It's going on the Kickstarter, and that's where I broke the rules. And the afterward in there is all right, this was not strictly a 24-hour process.
It took you 27. You told me that is still admirable.
30 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 30 with the original thing, and then there was the editing that went in afterwards, and there was polish and all that got put in there. There was a fair amount of work polishing it, getting the dialogue boxes to fit right and things like that. They have to do to make it good, because I thought the big thing is do I want to put out something that's strictly by the rules, or do I want to put out something good? Doesn't have a bunch of amateurish mistakes in it. And I think what came out was pretty good. It was essentially done in that window, but there was making it look right took more time, but I think it was time well spent. I think people got a comic that they enjoy, and
I love those pages with the wallpaper in the back. The red just pops, I'm when you get to that one, you're whoa, man, this is with a pattern in the back, and the vampires I love that. That was awesome. And when the blood starts,
blowing up the vampires. Those pages were pretty much untouched. I had to squish and squeeze the borders a little bit to get the aspect ratio right when I made it bigger. But those were pages that were pretty much came out as is.
I love those ones. When you got to them, it's they just popped off the page with the pose with that nice background, the red background. I love those. I thought those were beautiful pages. Just it was
how clear and
well
defined
thought
the
out.
action, and how clear and defined the action is. I mean, it's just kinetic. There's no other word for it. It just
the big like tentacle fight.
Those are great too.
Where she's like hacking your way through the tentacles after Cochise gets eaten.
Yeah.
That was done pretty much in one take. It was, I've collaged that together digitally from a bunch of like 11 by 17 pages. And so then I scanned it, I picked it apart and then shoved it onto the page. And then when I went to the 8 by 10 size, I, nudged them all around to get them to fit right. And, moved my masks and the blood splatter and all that. But those were really fun. I love those pages. I was at a New Jersey Comic-Con and some new young fans came up to watch, and they like, here's what they said. It's like, oh, here's like the unnecessary panty shot that they really appreciate. It's like, hey, it's completely necessary panty shot.
Yeah.
It's completely necessary. What do you mean?
This book's about a sexy nun. Excuse me, sir. Like
semi-erotic, hyper-violent, supernatural nun.
There you go.
But no, it was we had a big laugh after that. There were a bunch of like great kids that came back to my table like 100 times. I love them. They were the best. And we're just fantastic to like have like plugging the stuff, and they loved it so much. It's just gratifying to see people react to your thing, because like kind of you live in your little box and you get your likes on Instagram, but seeing people like really react to it in real time is I could get used to that. That's nice.
I'm floored by Red. I would really love to see more case files with the characters.
There's more. In fact, like the draw session this weekend is going to be it's based on Kings of the Wild Frontier. I'm going to have a QR code so you can like get my soundtrack for the comic.
Nice
for that. And so the story is that I've been threatening to do like a semi-erotic hyper violent supernatural nun cosplay when I go to cons. Just to like embarrass my daughter to no end. I got some go-goo boots. I need to get a mini skirt, and
I love it.
I can pull it off. I got great legs. I'm a fencer. So I put out this thing, and so we're gonna have the story of Sister Bruno. And I've got it kind of, I cheated for our 3-hour draw session. I've done some storyboarding already because I'm going to try and break 6 pages. I've got twice that scripted out, and I'm going to try and get that into the next one. And the idea is that it kind of came out of like this goofy idea to cosplay one of the nuns, and it'll be like an ash can I'm going to take to cons as a con exclusive.
Yeah, sounds awesome, man. Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think I'd look good in a miniskirt. I look fine in both. So and the go-go boots fit. I can't send them back now.
That's what you should do as a stretch goal for a Kickstarter when you do it. Just dress up, do pinups signed by you. That's one of the stretch goals, man. If you reach a certain stretch, you're gonna do a pinup signed and numbered.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that worries me is there's like a 2.5-inch heel on those things, and that's a lot more heel than I'm used to.
Got to get out there and practice, man.
I do. But yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm very excited to be drawn tomorrow night about this. I've been like kind of doing character designs today, and I've got another like little trifle I was working on for my daughter, which was reimagining Tiger Girl. There was a strange comic from 1968 Tiger Girl, and there was a Tiger Girl character from the 40s in Fight Comics, and somebody had posted it on Cartoonist Kayfabe, and I just thought the cover was like so awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna put this up on. I'm gonna change my camera. I just thought the cover was so awesome. I had to have this.
Oh wow!
The dialogue inside of it is just insane, semi-feminist, banter from 1968. So after I got it, I had scanned it, sent it off to my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter and her husband as just a thing. My wife had come in as like, like you, it's a strange thing from 1968. That was the year I was born.
Summer of Love.
Yeah. So I wasn't part of that. Being an infant, or being a newborn, because I was born in August of 68. But this is cool. So I was just kind of reimagining the character as like something fun, and I was going to send that off to my daughter while she's at camp. And so yeah, I've got La Chica Tigre that I'm doing like a 6-pager that I was going to send her, a 6-8 pager. Here, am I still down? I've got a page that I put together.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Look at that.
Let's see. There we go. We got another page. I don't think it's printed up. This is an experiment working with like monolithic pages, because I usually do my stuff like collaging the little stuff together. I don't do like these big, like 11 by 17 monolithic things. And, one guy has done a lot of commissions with me. Was that, I'd love to do an art. I would love to do a collaboration with you on a comic, and but I would love to purchase like the original art from you. And it's like, I don't really have a lot of original art because it's like done in little snippets. Here's like sketches and stuff that I'm doing, and I may scan these and pull like bits out and collage them together into a page in the end, or do like some big stuff and shrink it down or whatever. I don't know. It kind of all comes together in the sausage making process digitally. And so I really didn't have like an idea of how we could buy like finished pages. And so what I'm doing now is I'm doing like thumbnails, and then I'm light boxing it as a monolithic page afterwards. And I'm seeing what I can do with like composition, line and dark, with kind of that thumbnail sketch and then the light box afterwards.
Yeah, I get you on that. Sometimes I'll sketch some stuff out, and you do a quick sketch, and and you try to rework it. And let's say the glasses, you just love the glasses, and you just can't nail it quite as good. So then you like recopy that and bring it back in, and like you say, do like a collage of all like your favorite little snippets that. And then you make like that, maybe not the perfect image, but an image that you love, like I feel you on that for sure.
Yeah. Well, there's also like so much stuff like the screens and effects, so much easier to do digitally. Corrections are easier to do digitally. Like, I can go in, paint over it with white, or erase it, or erase the inks or whatever. A lot easier digitally that I can get out the white out and paint it over. Or, if I need to nudge something, if the perspective's a little bit off, I can skew it to fit perspective on something digitally afterwards.
Yeah, so much easier to tweak it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone's doing that anyhow, but there are still monolithic pages out there.
I've seen Daniel Warren Johnson do some stuff there online, and he does the same thing. He puts it in and he'll tweak it digitally, and
because that was another thing I learned from the 24-hour comic thing, was a lot of just kind of tricks and tips to work smarter, not harder. because ultimately people want to enjoy the story, and the idea that there are rules to this game, I don't know that I want to buy into that.
Yeah.
Make comics how you want to make comics. Not you don't have to use a particular pen, you don't have to use a particular paper. What works is what works.
Yeah. The end product's what counts, right?
What are my accounts?
Or the end product's what counts.
What counts?
Oh, yeah.
The end product's what counts. It's what you get into the reader's hands. If they're loving it, then who cares how it was made, man? Like,
Oh, there are purists that are going to tell you you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, but hey, anyone can say what they want, right? It doesn't mean we have to listen.
Yeah. No, it was actually kind of interesting. My father passed away a month or so ago, and so I was like at home like during his whole process during that, and he was an artist and my mother was an artist, so I kind of came through that. So we were going through a lot of his old work, and my mom and I were talking about art a lot, and she was really interested in this this comic book thing that I'm doing, because they were both fine artists. My father, a painter, really amazing. I put together a book of his aircraft illustrations on Amazon as well, so you can find that out there, that he had published in 1979, I think. But it was really interesting talking to her about how comics work, like from a technical art standpoint. Not to another comic book artist that understands kind of the underlying language of it, to someone who doesn't know anything about it, but knows about art.
Yeah.
My mother was an art teacher. My father was an art teacher. And so we were talking about like technical elements of composition and how you move the reader's eye around, and how you have to put each frame together so the frame is interesting and tells your story, but the entire page has to work as a collection of frames to tell the story, and how you don't lose your reader going from one to the other. And it got me to think about things a lot of different ways, just from a really fundamental composition standpoint. And so it was interesting, just in that process to kind of revisit some of the technical ideas and think about how stuff works on paper.
That's pretty cool. Condolences on your father as well.
Thank you. It was not a surprise. It's been a long time. It was a long time coming. So, we are glad that we could all be there for his final process. So, but thank you very much. But it was fun thinking about comics in a new way during that time.
Now it's all making sense after you told me that story. Now, how you like to teach and your parents and the comics. That now I've got a full picture of Shlepzig. Like, it all makes sense to me now.
My engineering degree was kind of my rebellion, was against being an artist.
There's a lot of art.
I'm going to go to math.
Well, there's a lot of art to engineering as well, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure you got the. Or were you not that type of engineer?
I mean, there's creativity in engineering, but it's different. It's different, but creativity is creativity. It's everything fits together eventually.
About it all fitting together. The other half is what has me interested a little bit. Your writing style. I was wondering if you had any direct influences that just bring out the kind of quirky cleverness that you have to your writing and your I guess affinity for classic comedy. Like I was wondering if you had any direct influences you might cite.
It hard to say. I mean, writing wise, I've I draw a lot from the pulps. Classic like sci-fi pulp, which are a lot of things we consider high fantasy now. I mean, like Conan was a pulp story. All of Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff, that was all pulp. H.P. Lovecraft was pulp. These were Diamond Page type things that went out in magazines on a weekly, monthly basis as serials. Even like Jack London stuff was written like that. So, a lot of great American artists or great American writers came out of that pulp tradition. But the style was really, from a narrative standpoint, from a plot standpoint, it boils everything down, keeps you, hard hitting to the point, keeps people interested, because you had to keep somebody coming back every, for the next issue. And so like each issue had to keep them hooked, keep them interested to, spend their dime on the next one. So there's that. And growing out of that, there's a lot of like classic comedy movies. Like, I watch the Thin Man movies like all the time.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And, I love those, I mean, I believe those were based on Chandler. Again, pulp writer, great American author. That it was, but there's that repartee in there. And, I don't know. I'm a goofy guy. I joke around a lot. My wife is, incredibly funny. So we're both like two very funny people. Together we're hilarious. Because we've got a whole kind of chemistry shtick, that comes out of it. That, people just love to have us over for dinner. If people ever have people over for dinner ever again.
It's coming. It's coming.
So I mean, just living in this house with my wife, who's much smarter than me, and is always giving me a hard time, ribbing me, and sometimes I'm the straight man, sometimes she's the straight man, and we're always harassing each other if we're not harassing our daughters, our poor long-suffering daughters. We only have one left in the house now. The other one is graduated and moved out, and then the oldest is long gone. She's 30 now. So
okay. Got quite a gap between your youngest and your oldest.
it's every 10 years is sort of
every 10, yeah.
Every 10 is sort of the plan. So we'd be due for another one, but I think 30 years of diapers is enough. And so, I think it's just, a lot of it is a love of that pulp tempo and writing, classic comedy, those classic movies, that fast talking dame sort of thing, going on. And it's, it kind of, comes out of that. A lot of the dialogue is just out of that, but the pulp, as far as writing influences, the pulp influences are the biggest ones. Read a lot of pulp stuff. And I mean, like, Frank Miller, he really nailed the adaptation of the pulp sensibility to comics. And I think it's really kind of perfect for comics. Is, again, it's the same thing. You got to have a quick story, keep them interested, make them come back for the next one. I mean, writers like Moore, brilliant writers, incredibly deep, but I don't, I don't know that it's as well suited to comics as a writer like Miller. And I'm probably going to get, crucified for saying I like Moore. I don't love Moore.
Well, he's kind of hard to love. I mean, if you hear the man talk, he tries to piss people off. I mean, I think he really goes out of his way for it. So,
I can respect that. Yeah.
But, like every week when we pick like our favorite comics, it always ends up being like a comic, like you say. It's got a good pace, it's got to be like Jenny Zero. I love that. Or Barbaric just came out recently, and it's fun. You read it and it's fun. It moves, and it, like you say, that's what comics were originally. Were just fun stories to entertain, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, the current crop from the big two, I mean, feel kind of bloated to me. Because it's like these deep, like intertwined storylines where everyone's having relationships with everyone else, and it's like a lot of people trying to imitate Claremont. They're trying to imitate Moore. They're trying to imitate these other people. I mean, there are other like great writers. I mean, Grant Morrison and such and all that. Mark Millar. They're putting out really cool stories, really well written stories. But one of the things that get me is just that they're so long and convoluted. Like Ed says about the Red Room, it's like this comic stands alone. Here's your story.
Issue. Yeah.
And like from a writer's standpoint, I think like Claremont nailed it. That like his X-Men run, there were long story arcs that happened, but each issue, you could pick up that issue, read that issue, and feel like you saw something. Claremont really nailed the balance between a long story arc and having a punchy issue
within, a story within each issue along the arc, where
it wasn't
each
until
issue
I was
gives you
almost...
an independent story in each one, but there's an overreaching story aside from that.
It wasn't until I was about like out of high school when they started doing like every comic had to have 6-issue long story arcs and all the time. But I think you really nail what you go for, because I didn't even have to read the full issue to want to come back for more. I remember when I found the Kickstarter for Red, you had a 8-page preview up for it, and I was rolling. I was just enthralled with that. Like I was at first checked it out because it said 24-hour comic, and that was something that caught me because I'd only heard about that a little bit in the 90s. I know like people like Ted McKeever and like Chalkian used to do them, but I didn't know that it was a thing again. So when I discovered that you did one, I was like, this looks cool. And then I'm like, oh, he's got a preview. And then I read it and I looked at the art and I'm just like, man, dude, nothing McKeever or Chalkian did ever came out looking this good in a day. Like, that's for sure. But yeah, no, I'm just saying that.
Praise. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They're masters of their form. I love Ted McKeever especially, but his 24-hour comics definitely showed that they were 24-hour comics.
No, it's just, that's rarefied air being put like, in that same place. So you're too kind. But it was fun. It really gets you to think like outside the box. And sometimes just overthinking things is too much. And I think that's sort of what Scott McCloud was getting to when he created it. Because I think he himself is like a very, I've never met him, so I would, making, exposition based on what I've read from him. He seems to be very methodical, and thinks about how the process is going to work. And as an engineer, I can really appreciate that because, I've spent, 30 years doing nothing but thinking about process. And how do all the pieces fit together, and how do you create this big, like masterful whole that, works like every little piece intertwining. And I think he recognized that was also a trap in a certain way, that maybe you need to just, step back and let it come out. And
too many people try to explain everything in comics. Whereas if you read like the preview for Chicken, like you have the microwave ghosts, you didn't have to really explain how they got made. All you know is that the radiation from the microwave made the ghosts even crazier, and we got a killer fight scene out of it. And like you had a punchy little 8-page preview that kept me rolling, and I'm dying to get my hands on that when it comes out. So
I'm dying to get it done, and yeah, that was kind of the trap I fell into. Was as it became longer, like that first chapter where we go into more depth about the origin of the microwave that they have to go fight. I just got too deep into it, and it wasn't quite as punchy anymore. It made sense. I think the pages are gorgeous, but there's no whimsy in them, and it needs whimsy. So, I stepped back for a little ways, and that was like over the period where my father was passing, and which was kind of like a mind thing in its own, and it also took me away from the drawing board for several weeks while I was working from that. I didn't I was just out there taking care of my mom and cooking food for a million relatives and kind of managing that whole process. But coming back, there's just that darkness in there that I didn't feel fit, and so I'm trying to like kind of clear that out and get it done and get it out. And it's something I really need to get out. It's in there. I go to bed every night thinking about like how a page is going to look or how a plot point's going to work out. Getting it to be fun. We've got a lot more of the girl bunny coming up in there, who you see in the bar in the first page. Who is it's her microwave that's gone nuts. So we come back and
okay.
We've got a whole like I did a page. I love the page. I've got to like rework it, but it's a it's a whole like Boondock Saints, like where Chicken goes through and reconstructs the what he sees as the moment the microwave changes. And he's like so he's there in like the housewife's dress, like reimagining like the woman at the microwave while the microwave goes crazy. And Ronaldo's there with him, like as like Bob Dobbs like husband pissing off the microwave until he gets blasted. Thinking I don't like the way this is going. And so I love the page. That's got whimsy because Chicken's in the dress, like being the housewife.
Yeah.
And kind of reconstructing this whole thing. And then we find out that's not what happened at all. But
yeah.
I say too much. It comes out and it's like trying to recapture that whimsy with some of the dark pulpy stuff I want to get into at the end. As he goes into like this kind of heart of darkness, final showdown at Rockaway Beach. Maybe I just need to listen to more Ramones. I'll just draw the whole thing listening to the Ramones.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah. Lots of fun to be had listening to those guys. I can't put enough emphasis on how amazing I think what you've been able to put out so far is. You know what I mean? I'm just impressed by your acumen, man, and meeting you has been so cool. Like it's even elevated you in my mental stature. So like I just want you to know you're like one of the coolest people I've met, man. So and I met a few pros here and there, but I mean not big ones, but like you're up there with like Stan Sacky now. So
it seems like the pros are all like really approachable. I hope like once cons start going on, I get to meet some of these people in person. But I mean, I've had like, I've posted messages on like Bill Sienkiewicz's stuff about, technique, and he's written back.
He's a sweetheart. Yeah, Bill actually is really, really cool for a person that's a legend like him. Yeah, he's very approachable. He comments back to everybody. He is so cool.
So Jim Mahfood, he seems really, really cool. Got a chat with him at a virtual panel thing a couple months ago. Again, hope to meet him in person sometime.
Oh man, I would love to see you and him do Girl Scouts together. That would be so rad.
Maybe someday fingers crossed that I'll break into that rarefied real publisher world, and they'll
Oh,
drive truckloads of.
you will soon, man. Like, I'm not kidding. Comparative to like a lot of the stuff that's out there, your stuff is I don't know, you might need to find a right colorist or something, but aside from maybe that, I can see you being so huge because it
I,
just moves so good. Your art has motion to it, and so much of art that I see nowadays, it looks nice, but a lot of it, when they try to do motion, it's just flat. It's static.
I well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good artists out there. I think there's a lot of people seem to have this like real fixation on being very photorealistic.
Yeah.
That this whole like Alex Ross thing and all that, and it leaves me flat. I mean, they're like Alex Ross is a brilliant painter. He's a fair storyteller, but I mean, he's a really brilliant painter, and his paintings are beautiful. But as far as a comic book artist, I think if I want something photorealistic, I'll just take a picture. I mean, anyone can take a picture and get something that looks just like a thing. And I want to see people that can really twist up the figure, and make it say more than just the image says. And that's that motion that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And artists like Sienkiewicz, you really nailed that. He brought this whole post-impressionism idea, I think, to comics, and other people have as well. There are a lot of classic comic artists that had that. I mean, like George Harriman and things like that. You look at that history, and the outlaw comics and the bootleg comics and things like that from the 70s, 80s. Your Robert Crumbs and people like that. Had this idea that they're really kind of bringing the psychedelia, impressionism to the art world, to comic art and narrative art. So it was, that's really appealing to me, and I want to try and like channel more and more of that. And it's hard. People think, well, I can just draw a stick figure and it'll work, but you really have to have a solid foundation and fundamental art skills to do it.
To be able to break those rules, you got to understand them.
Oh yeah. I mean, like even like you look at like Picasso's like drafting exercises and things like that. He could draw a face that looked like a face. He knew how to do that. But the idea that he knew how to draw a face that didn't look at all like a face, and then we see this whole story and what he produced, that's amazing. That's something I try and capture, in the little way that I can. And
that's creating something. That's not just, like you say, it's not copying something. Like, okay, like you said, you could just take a picture if you want it to be exactly the same as, but this is, you're creating a mood. Like there's so much more to it that you're bringing to the table when you do that. It's an interpretation, it's not just, it's, and you get so much more out of the story like that, I find as well.
Yeah. And that's, we're seeing a lot of artists that are really creative out there. They're doing stuff like that, but a lot of young artists I've seen, and a lot of like the guys of the big two are very, seem to be very like photorealistic oriented.
Yeah. And I've seen one book where people have been complaining is the new Harley Quinn. Yeah. They've been complaining about the art in that. And I think he's amazing. Like I've seen the pages he's done and I love his stuff. It's
it out.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, I don't dig on it. Rosario. I can't remember his name, but he's got a very, he's very stylized, and his comics have a lot of movement and action. I think he did the Martian Manhunter, the 12-issue.
Riley Rossimo.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Riley. I love Riley's work. See, that's the thing is he's got a very, very neat style. It might look rushed, but if you look at it, like there is
It's
so much
nice.
layer and texture to everything he
Yeah,
does.
and
Like,
I've been hearing a lot of people complaining about it. He's on the new Harley Quinn series now, and the new Solicits, I don't think he's the artist anymore. So I don't know if he got the boot from that book because too many people were complaining about his style. But I was like, he's got beautiful style. Like he brings so much character to the page, and I just don't see why people have a problem with it. It dumbfounds me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are going to be haters for just about everything.
Yeah, I guess.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Riley's an indie guy, man. Like I've read stuff from him as long as I've been an Image fan. I started reading Image about 2007 when I learned that, like, oh, hey, they don't just do Spawn anymore. And one of the first books I got was Proof, and I love his style. In a way, it is somewhat similar to Schlepzig's a touch, I guess, probably because of the
extreme
all the movement in the backgrounds is similar, the way that Riley does it. So I
wrote
think
his name
that's
down. I'm going to go look him up.
Yeah, he's good, man. You should. I like him, and like he's got some nice extreme like positions, like the way he positions his characters. Like it's exaggerated to really emphasize the movement and the.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. He's and like extreme perspective shots with the movement. It's great. Like, I mean, he's got some nice panels and some nice pages. It's crazy.
That's your Kirby perspective.
Yeah, man, with his own style though. So you get a little, like you say, like you find something you like and you study it and then you incorporate it into yours to add a little extra element to what you're producing, and it's.
Well, I mean, that's how you do it. I mean, when I was a kid, I taught myself how to draw looking at J. Scott Campbell drawings. But if you look at my stuff now, it looks nothing like J. Scott Campbell because like I started obsessing over Eduardo Rizzo and a bunch of European guys, picked up some stuff from them, started looking at some Japanese stuff, then came back to America, saw Sam's work here. I saw my buddy EPHK from Germany. I'm not sure exactly where he's from. I know he lives in Germany. And he is definitely a person who I'm going to be copying the shit out of in the future.
His new book is so amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
Mart Villis or Vasilis. Yes, so good.
I mean, whatever it's called. I don't even know if it's words. I backed it on Kickstarter. I got it, and I went through it. It's just like, oh, well, I should just give up now.
I think it translates to Mouth Valis. It translates into fucking awesome. I think that's the exact translation.
Yeah, it's and I love the whole like. There's no words in the whole thing. People have word balloons, but they just spout out like this nonsense.
It's
like these shapes, but they're perfect.
Yeah, because also the way he designs those shapes when they're speaking, you can tell if they're angry, quiet, upset. Like just in the way he makes those fake letter shapes, you get the emotion from it, right? You don't have to understand what it says, but you know what it means.
And he was genius by doing that because by doing that, he could sell his book worldwide without having to translate a single
copy of it.
Having
to hire a translator, yeah.
I have a German translation of Red that somebody did for me.
Okay.
And I'll have to put that. I'll have to get like that populated at some point on the files. But
that scam was mean to you because, like, I think you would have caught on in Europe, man. You got that kind of style that they like.
I've possibly, and it was really they were looking for someone who was going to give them finished art, and they realized I wasn't biting on the scam, and just cut me loose. That's
still mean.
So I don't know, dodged a bullet there. But I had the clipboard of stuff ready to go to work as soon as I finished things up. But eventually, I wasn't just working for free for them the way that they wanted me to. So they cut me loose. So it's crazy. But yeah, the EPHK book is just amazing. Um, blown away by that.
I'd like to see you two work together. I'd like to see maybe him color some of your work.
We actually met through the scam thing.
Oh yeah, cool. He was one of the guys.
He was one of the guys. We met through the scam group. So we've exchanged a few messages along the way. It's not like we're best buds or anything, but you know, we're aware of each other out there. He's but yeah, I'm going to be stealing from that book.
Yeah, I think everybody is, man. Like it's the modern Arzak, you know what I mean? So, and like, you know how popular that was with people when Mobius put that out. So
yeah. But yeah, I'm going to be stealing from that book, and you know, I've got to sell more comics because I am buying too many comics.
Yeah, that's right. I feel you on that.
Links down in the description. If you're watching now, if you're watching later, whenever you watch this, you can buy Red and Sam's 2020, 2021 COVID era collection on Amazon, and they come out printed beautifully. Don't worry, because Jeff Bezos or whatever, man, like Sam's going to get that money and he needs it because he is actually making art, in my opinion.
But yeah, Amazon does a great job printing. Yeah, plug my Etsy shop. It's Shlepzig illustration out there. It's in my Linktree thing. I've got a Linktree with a billion links in it. It's out there. I've got, you know, prints and some shirts, and I've got more shirts to put up and more things. I should put up some sticker packs because I've got a billion zillion stickers.
People love stickers, man.
Yeah,
people eat that stuff up.
I love the stickers. They're the best thing at the con. I sold so many stickers at my first like tabling situation, and just from a business standpoint, you know, you got like, you know, stickers $1. You know, when that wallet comes out, you know, once you get the wallet out, it just kind of, you know, dumps all the money on your table.
Another thing I've noticed people love are patches, man. They're a little more expensive to make, but people are digging on the patches these days.
Yeah. I've been thinking about doing some patches. I've done patches before for fencing because, you know, when you're a fencer, you wear your club insignia on your back arm.
Okay.
So, you know, I made club patches for my high school teams and for my club that I run. And, you know, I've helped a couple other clubs that I work with, you know, make patches as well. So I know the patch process, and I've been thinking about it. You know, in the File 2231 world, we've got this, you know, this order of paranormal investigators that is actually the authors of File 2231. And the idea is, I don't know if you read the other File 2231 short, the of Boars and Bees short. It's in the Amazon collection. It was one of my very first, like, you know, comics that I made. It was an 8-pager I did, and it kind of explains the whole, you know, conceit of the this brotherhood of paranormal investigators that, you know, may actually know what's going on, or they may just be nuts. And the Sisters of Our Lady of Extraterrestrial Lament, which are nuns. All their stories are contained in this group's File 2231, you know, implying that there's, you know, 1,000 other files of other groups and other things, you know, in this wide world of bizarreness ripped from, you know, the whole idea is it's kind of like anything that you'd read in the weekly world news would be, you know, part of this.
Okay.
And, you know, the aliens, wolf boys, Sasquatches, you know, you name it, it's going to be there. The first story, they don't even know like who the bad guy was. And so like each page, it keeps changing. So you turn the page, it's like, these are these, you know, mole people, samurais, and then it turns over and they're these cyber pigs. And then it turns over, it's these Venusians, all in this continuous fight.
There you go. That sounds
And
awesome, man.
you know, as the idea, it's like taken from a eyewitness report, and they're just kind of trying to figure out what happens. And so they're all kind of pig-like creatures, but it could be these guys, it could be these guys, it could be these guys. And so the art, like, you turn the page and they're different. It's like, and the fight goes on.
Because you ask like 4 different people, you'll get 4 different versions of the same story, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of the conceit. But I've thought about like designing a logo for these paranormal investigators and making a patch of them.
That'd be cool.
And of course, like the nuns. I've got this whole like kind of idea about building up the nun stories. I'll be working on Sister Bruno tomorrow, and fighting with aliens there. And I've got a longer form story cooking away in my head. Oh, excuse me, I have a little Indian food coming up on me there. Longer form like alien abduction story, which is going to be kind of a Rashomani sort of thing. Breaking up the timeline from all this with different, with each like kind of story focusing on a different one of the sisters, as you kind of like learn more about these mini skirted nuns that are incredibly violent.
That's awesome, man. Just
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
keep us in the loop, man. We'll try to hype that up as much as we can for you, man. Just
that'd be awesome.
Us in the loop. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've got to make that fencing comic too. All my fencing friends are like eager for my fencing comic because it hasn't been done well. There are a couple of fencing comics. There's one out there called Fence, which is not a good fencing comic. It seems to be really focused on these very attractive boys that are on the same fencing team. That seems to be the main focus of the story. And I don't think they own shirts. But
or grow chest hair either, right? They're
no, they're very like high school boys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was hairy in high school, but I guess I was an outlier.
So yeah, the focus doesn't seem to be on the fencing for that. And as a coach, as a person who loves the sport, participates in the sport, I really want to bring like that intensity and to it. So
actually make it about the matches, kind of like what the person's thinking, how they're gonna parry or whatever. And
yeah, I mean, part of the intensity, and I want to. Part of the reason why it's taken me so long to get it done or get it, rolling, is because I love the sport so much. I want to do it right, and I've taken a couple runs at like little bits. I just don't think I've quite got it right, and that's part of the reason why I'm really studying like
it takes a good balance, right, to get it like a sport incorporated into like kind of like Aster of Pan. He did a pretty good job with the dodgeball and the action with the story. Mm-hmm. It's got a good flow and it's fun, and so I feel you want to make sure you do it just right, because
and maybe I'm too close to it. Maybe I'll never be able to get out of it, just because I've spent so much time in the mask at it. But it's in my head. I got to get it out or I'll never sleep again. It's the kind of thing that just bounces around in my head at night, keeping me awake, making me grab my phone, jot down some ideas and then put it back. And my wife, like, why the hell is your phone on? Turn that light off.
Yeah. I'm trying to sleep.
So it's got to get out of my head eventually. But I got to do it right. One thing I'm hoping is I can, hopefully get like some interviews with some World Cup fencers put in there, because I've done art for a bunch of World Cup fencers and they dig it. So I might be able to parlay that into like, a little 1-page interview to put in the issues when they come out.
Get to know them. What kind of lifestyle do they live? Do they have they have this like party life like when they're off and doing
No,
like what kind of people are they? You know, like
I've met a lot of Olympians.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of World Cup fencers. It's not such a rarefied world that you're not going to meet them eventually.
Yeah.
I've had my butt handed to me by several members of our current Olympic team.
Yeah.
And previous members of Olympic teams. And it's always a privilege to get your ass kicked by the best. So it's not such a rarefied world that, these people are unapproachable. They're out like, you can't ever speak to them, but they're also, they're luminaries of the sport. They have, their lives, and fencing isn't an easy thing to do because there's no money in it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make money, you're going to play Scrabble. You're going to rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
I've
heard the parties are pretty. I heard the parties are pretty wild in the Olympic Village once they're all done. Once they're done performing there, yeah, I heard the parties get pretty wild in there.
Bacchanal. But in the sport in general is pretty tame.
Yeah.
In part because we're all nerds. Fencing is a sport that really appeals to people with a particular kind of mindset. With my high school team, we're like kind of half varsity team, half Doctor Who, Harry Potter fan club.
I guess, yeah.
I love my kids. They're the best.
Yeah.
They're my people. And it's a sport that it rewards problem solving and thinking. And so it really doesn't fit into your typical sort of high school jockocracy.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
It's
much
like
more discipline.
I don't need your fastest guy. I don't need your strongest guy. I need your smartest athlete.
Yeah.
And, that's what I get, because I get the kids that don't really fit in with like the basketball team or the track team or whatever. And, they're like, swords sound cool. Because they're swords and swords are cool. And, they come in and, we just have a lot of fun. And, my high school team, I've told the athletic director many times, is like, we are not going to win championships. That's not my job. My job is to get these kids to learn a sport, love a sport, and enjoy coming to practice every day. Not because I'm going to chew them out for not showing up to practice like the football coach will, but because they want to have fun and like socialize and stab people in the face.
Get the most out of it.
And we don't win championships, but I know my team makes the kids happier by the end of the day, and that's what's important.
That's what counts.
Because like when my kids, when my daughter went through the high school, she would tell me about how like all the other sports just beat you down. It was like another thing that when you're in high school made you dread going to high school every day because you had this commitment and you had to follow through, and the coach was just another person trying to drag more out of you. And I determined that was not going to be my team. My team was going to be, if the kids are there because they want to be there, not because I'm going to yell at them for not being there. And they disappear for 2 weeks to go study for the SATs. They come back. I'm just glad they're back.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to chew them out for missing 2 weeks. So, but that's just me. And, love the kids, love them learning the sport, love the whole process. And I'm taking notes all the time to put into my comic book. So names have been changed to protect the innocent is not based on real stories or events. Even if it is based on real stories and events. But I'm really looking forward to getting that done. I need to do it right, and I hope I can give the sport like the due that it deserves because I love it so much. Yeah. Even though it leaves me bruised and sore 5 nights out of 7.
Well, I just hope you manage to get it done one day,
Yeah.
just for the sake of your sanity.
Because I remember when I was asking you, scheduling you for the show, you were like, "Yeah, I got to survive fencing for a couple weeks, but yeah, this Friday works fine for me." And I was just like, "Oh, damn, dude's a sword fighter." Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, well, Friday night is one of my practice nights. So I go over to Bucks County and I'm fencing for 3-4 hours there Friday nights. But we had our National Cup Championship on, my group was on Wednesday. And it's like I just needed to decompress. And I've got a coach on Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to like 4 p.m. So I figured this would be a great night because I wanted a couple of days off because I can't move my legs. And like Thursday was just like eating Advil and moaning to my wife about how much everything hurts.
Yeah.
And her telling me to, like, you did this to yourself. Stop complaining. You chose this life. You deserve it. Suffer, you bastard. Which is part of our dynamic. It's the great thing there. So like I knew I was going to take some time down, and so this is the perfect schedule coming down.
Well, I was really happy that it all fell together because
Yeah,
you are
great.
you are the kind of talent that I've wanted to have come on and talk on the show because I mean you're in the trenches of comic making, in my opinion. You know what I mean? You know what's going on. You know all the other people that are probably going to be coming up and being named soon too, along with you. So that's that's an aspect that I always like want to get a hold of. I want to find the cool new thing and talk about it first. And I'm pretty sure I did that here, or was one of the first.
Yeah, like go to Cartoonist Kayfabe and you'll see so many people that are so very talented. Friend, there's Philip Ben Perkins, amazing guy. And then Chris Anderson's established. He's up there. He was in the last issue of Heavy Metal. He's on there. He's been really helpful. Super like great mentorship to that. Eli Schwab is out there. He's editor extraordinaire, making his own comics. There are just so many people there. I really enjoyed Jason Lapidus from Toronto. His Peregrines stuff that's coming out from his press. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's so many great guys in that group. So many creators, indie creators, building their first audience, learning the craft. It's fantastic. And like we said before, I'm really open. I want, I'm happy to like have people reach out to me. I'm pretty much always at my drawing board. Because I have the good fortune to have had this other engineering career and, have this kind of padding in my life that I can, focus and do these things that I love now, as opposed to sit in that office box in New York and, that commute and the whole, that whole crap. Done with it.
Hey, man, it's never too late to refine yourself or redefine yourself, or do something. Like you said, you're doing something you love, and in the end, really, that's what counts. Yeah.
And the comic world needs you, man. In my opinion, we got so many young new voices and so many books coming out, but I haven't read a supernatural comedy book that had such a clever twist as Red did. You know what I mean? Like you really caught me off guard with that. I love the way that turned and how it ended, and I was just like, God damn, this dude's got something. Dude's got something that a lot of other people don't have, because it was unplanned. It was so untropy. It was perfect. It was something that a cat would literally do to people if they could. Like, I was working with the vampires, and but I wanted it. Now it's mine. It's pretty.
It's like when a cat catches a mouse, they don't eat it right away. They like to play and toy with it before they kill it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are parts of it I cribbed like from Lovecraft, the Cats of Ulthar, his classic story, because the cats all live on the moon, in the
Yeah.
Cats of Ulthar, and they have like this very dual existence in and out of reality.
Yeah, the metaphysical Schrodinger's cat thing. That was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
That he was outside the vault and inside the vault at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we've given it away. Nobody wants to read the comic.
No, like they got to still read it because they might have an idea of what's going to happen, what might happen, but the journey is worth it. And the $7 on Amazon, pay it, get it, dude.
It was so much fun. I don't know. Fun. It's all about fun.
It was fun to read too. So I mean, mission accomplished there.
Oh, that's incredibly gratifying to hear, because you're like, again, from that artist's perspective, you're like, oh wow, this is probably just crap.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I know that a lot of people butter up guests, but I'm not kidding. Like, I absolutely adore Red. It is, like I said, EPHK's book and Red are my two favorite things I've gotten off of Amazon, and I've backed 90 projects. I think I've received about 60 of them, and all of them have been good. I'm not bashing any of them, but dude, I did not expect that turn, and when it happened, I was just like, oh, that's so clever. That is so good. And I was hooked since then. That's when I went and found you on Instagram and started bugging you about shit. And yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully people won't be alone. I'm always happy to be bugged about stuff. And like, if there's a tutorial you want to see, like, how do I do something? Just let me know and I'll build something. That's pretty much how all the tutorials I've got came up was, a friend of mine would ask me a question, is like, how do you get the software that you use to do this? Or how do you make this happen? And I would just like do a quick video or walkthrough of like, here are the steps and this is what I do. There are lots of ways to do it though.
All right, then. We've kept Sam for about almost 2.5 hours. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but this was
we were chatting for like almost an hour before this too.
Yeah, I love doing the setup prep. I sit there so it's no big deal, but I really appreciate it. We had some good talks before that, but this was a really, really excellent episode of Pink Buzz, our second interview ever. And I'm Bucky Wise, also known as Johnny Alpha. You can find me on Twitter at JohnnyAlpha81. And go ahead and plug everything you have, Sam, if you want, really fast.
Well, I mean, the Amazon store or the Amazon publishing stuff under Sam Blanchard. If you search Shlepzig, it all comes up. I have a Etsy, Shlepzig Illustrations. I have a Patreon under Shlepzig. Anything under Shlepzig is almost certainly me. So if you just Google it and follow whatever links you find, there are gems out there. There's a bunch of weird stuff out there. But it's pretty much all me. If you want to see it there, linktree.shlepzig is kind of the definitive place to find everything currently Shlepzig.
I definitely recommend following his Instagram, though. His Instagram is amazing. Every day, lots of stuff, new stuff all the time. His tutorials, his breakdowns, hard sell on the Instagram. And Joey, go ahead and plug yourself really fast.
All right, man. You can find me on Twitter at 00joepocket. So anytime you guys want to chat about anything, man, I'm always open for any kind of discussions. So you can come hit me up at Twitter and go pick up Sam's stuff, man, because this guy, he's got some talent. So can't let talent go by the wayside. You got to support it. So go support Sam. Shlepzig.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Don't stop reading.